troops?
Well, we've said that any assistance needs to go to the Iraqi army, to the Iraqi government security forces itself. So assistance shouldn't go to militias or other groups, broadly speaking. And we've also said that any assistance should be in support of an inclusive government. So I haven't seen that announcement by the Iranians, but including the Iranians, if they would like to support in that way towards those ends, anybody should feel free to.
If I may ask a question on the assistance.
I was just saying that if people want to help, there are certain ways they should do it, and we would take a look at any specifics and comment on that specifically. Sure. I don't think that the solution here is Iran providing arms to the Iraqis. So we leave tonight, land tomorrow. This round begins tomorrow, and we expect to be working through the 20th. You saw the Secretary's op-ed on Iran today, I'm sure, in the Washington Post. This round will consist of a combination of plenary sessions chaired by Kathy Ashton and with all the P5+1, the political directors, and Foreign Minister Zarif. It will consist of a number of bilateral meetings with us and the Iranians and also us and our other P5+1 partners, a number of expert sessions where experts from the P5+1 and Iran work on the details of the nuclear side, the sanction side. Will really be a constant flurry of meetings, I think, over the next few weeks, working towards the 20th. So we tended to not have the bilaterals on the nuclear talks, up until this point, have focused on the nuclear issue. We, of course, always discuss the American citizens as well. Last time was something a little bit new because of the severity of what was happening in the emergency in Iraq. We did discuss it on the sidelines of a meeting. But these meetings haven't been focused on anything else. Of course, we'll let folks know if that changes, but I don't expect it to. It's just not the right forum for it.
Can I ask,
because time is running short.
Yeah, but
and because
things are going according to calendar, aren't they?
Well, because as the Secretary said, let me pull up the exact words to Saeed, significant gaps still remain. And as he said, we do not yet know what Iran will choose. If they will choose, assuming what they've said is true, that they don't want a nuclear weapon, it's not a hard proposition to prove. What we are asking for are reasonable, verifiable, and easily achievable measures. But we have not yet seen what choice the Iranians will make. This isn't one of capacity, it's one of will, and we will see what we can get. I stood up here 6 months ago now, and there were many skeptics about the joint plan of action, many skeptics about whether Iran would adhere to it, whether they would live up to their commitments, and they have. And Iran's nuclear program is frozen today as a result of that. So as we go forward, I'm sure there will be many skeptics over these next few weeks, but I would remind people that there were a lot of skeptics back in November and then in January when we implemented it, and it's gone according to plan, which I think has been a significant step, and as we've negotiated a comprehensive agreement, has provided something to base those negotiations on. That we have put in place an agreement that has been adhered to by both sides. The Secretary is always happy to get on an airplane, and particularly on this issue. Look, we've always said that the Secretary and the other foreign ministers will come if there's a need in the negotiations at an appropriate time to do so. And quite frankly, in all honesty, we have no idea what the schedule over the next few weeks will look like. We know what the meeting setups will be in general, but this is a negotiation, and it will be happening right before our eyes, and we will all play things by ear.
Mari.
That they've been publicly very optimistic about the potential outcome of these negotiations, which hasn't been matched by date, as he said, with the positions they've articulated behind closed doors. So again, we're talking about all of the issues in a technical sense, right? But up until this point, we haven't seen a decision really of political will, to make the tough choices that we think that they have to make. So again, I think one of the other points he wanted to make is that if they can, the benefits for Iran's economy, for Iran's people are very clear. There's a clear path forward here. And if they can't, there's also a pretty clear path. We're not going to get into specifics about where the biggest gaps remain or sort of what the technical decisions they need to make are. As we've always said, it really is sort of a puzzle how all of this fits together. So we all know the issues, right? They're all laid out in the JPOA. Centrifuges, enrichment, Iraq, Fordo, they're all laid out there. And we know that to get the right combination so they can't get a nuclear weapon and their program can only be used for peaceful purposes, you have to fit them together in a way that gets you technically to that outcome. There are a couple of different ways they can fit together. And that's what we're working on right now, to find that combination. But there will be some tough choices that have to be made, and we haven't yet seen the same optimism behind closed doors from the Iranians that we've seen publicly. There's a history of Iran with the IAEA of not being in compliance with its non-proliferation requirements. And the UN Security Council therefore imposed a number of steps on them as a result. So there's a history here. We think there's a different future available, a different path forward. And I think we'll all see in the next few weeks whether that's possible. But look, to give these negotiations the best chance of success, it's not just that I don't want to talk about it, it's that we need to keep the details in the room. And I'm sure we will talk a lot about it over the next 3 weeks. There might be pressure. I mean, some people have talked about it publicly, but he was making a factual statement that no extension is possible unless all sides agree. That's written into the joint plan of action. I think it says by mutual consent. And also making the point that the United States and our partners will not consent to an extension merely to drag out negotiations. That we need to see a genuine willingness in the time that remains. We're committed to the 20th. We are working towards the 20th. That this was in no way indicated a change in policy on that. So look, we'll see what they come to the table with. We are firm about the fact that the 20th is the date we put in the JPOA here. And look, we'll see how the negotiations go over the next 3 weeks. I'm not changing our position on extension. We've always said throughout this process that we are focused on the 20th. I know there's a lot of hypotheticals here, but the point we wanted to make clear is, you know, some people, I think, assume it's a foregone conclusion. And we were trying to make very clear that it's not actually. That it has to be agreed to by everyone, and who knows if everyone would agree.